Howdy howdy, this is Crafty Granny back again with an arena cutoff video for Marvel Contest of Champions. Today I cover round 1 predictions for the new Venom the Duck and Nebula arenas. So the first thing I always like to do is kind of categorize these two past arenas based off of the arena type, and when it comes to feature arenas, really there's only two types, either new champ and old champ, and obviously with Venom the Duck he's a new champ. It gets a little bit more interesting when we deal with the 4-star basic arenas, and there's in the way I've kind of bucketed them or categorized and whatever you want to say it is kind of low, medium, or high interest. And I think Nebula, even though she has a lot of value in the game, she's still an older champ in the game, so I'm categorizing her in the low bucket, but she could be right on that edge of that medium bucket as well. But anyway, now that I've got them categorized, let's take a look at some past arena results for these categories. So first, starting with that low 4-star basic results, you can see like with Agent Venom, even Nightcrawler, we've had numbers around 1.9, just right at the top of the ceiling, if you will, that low interest. It's really when you get to the 2 million or higher area where you get into that, what I'm categorizing as a medium interest, and I really think that's where Nebula's going to play at, versus like an Abomination at 1.6. I think she'll be way higher than that. Then when we start looking at the 4-star feature arenas, you can see that there was a steady increase over the last couple new champs until we got to the Symbiote Supreme, or whatever his name is, but you can see that we kind of dropped back down to that previous number 13.7. So I think really that's what kind of going back to that 3.6, and I think we're kind of in that same zone with Venom the Duck. Even when we jump over to the 5-star feature, you can see there too we were increasing over time. All the way back with Heimdall, moving all up to Emma the Frost, there's been a steady increase, but then with the Symbiote Supreme, there was a pretty big dip. Now, what was interesting in the second round for the Symbiote Supreme, he did go back almost to 50 million. So I think there was that brief reprieve in terms of high numbers, but then it got back to kind of like that Heimdall number. So I'm thinking that's kind of probably where this kind of levels out, even with Venom the Duck, who I don't think has a ton of hype right now or interest to really drive up numbers like we saw with Emma Frost. So, you know, that's just looking at trends, in my opinion. I always like to ask the community. I always like to ask you all, what do you guys think that, you know, where we think this first round arena for? The most interesting one, and I think in this case it's Venom the Duck, and I was just very curious to what your opinion was. Was my hype read correct? And as you can see here, 379 of you voted, and I appreciate all those who took the time to vote. And for the most part, I think people agree that this is there's not a ton of hype out there for Venom the Duck. Nye here kind of represents the big majority, that 44%. Not too many people were excited about this champ from the beginning, especially after last month's game-changing champs. I expect the cutoff to barely push the 40 million mark. Very common themes across some of the other folks who provided some comments to their vote. But then even Mini Lemmy here, who did vote for 50-55, has a very kind of similar theme as Nye there, with I don't think demand for Venus the Flytrap, like the nickname there, will be there. He's by no means a game changer in attack or defense. His animations are cool, but that's not enough to justify a huge grind for him. And I think that's similar with Symbiote Supreme. Pretty cool animations. I think there's probably even more value with Symbiote Supreme in terms of the ability to control buffs, etc. But anyway, yeah, I think you know, I think that the word is consistent across the community, just not a lot of hype out there for Venom the Duck. So considering the past trends, and also considering the input from you, the community, here are my thoughts for the first round cutoff for the veterans bracket. So first with Venom the Duck, I think we're going to be at 48 million. I don't think we're going to have that big nosedive that we saw for Symbiote Supreme. I think we're going to be closer to that Heimdall number, but a little bit lower than that. I think we're going to be, you know, as you can see here, just under that 50 million, like 48 million with that top 10% cutoff for the that top shard tier at 12 million. Then when we jump over to the 4-star feature, I think that's 13.7. Again, that lower number, not that higher number 14 that we saw, 14 million or plus, where we saw for Omega Red or Emma Frost. Jumping over to Nebula, I think we're looking at 2 million for her, just so really that borderline between low and medium interest. And then when it comes to 3-star feature arenas, there's just not a lot. The trend data is kind of getting old as people don't capture this data or share this data openly or widely, I should say, across the community anymore. So I'm going to stick with the 1.25, but that number may actually be a little bit lower since the hype for this champ isn't as high. But when it comes to grind targets, because that's really the cutoff for the veterans brackets, where I really think within 5 to 10% where these numbers are going to kind of, where this cutoff is going to kind of land, I always like to give kind of a grind target for the veteran bracket, so you kind of give yourself a cushion, just for whatever reason of the hype that is there for Venom the Duck, and it's a little bit harder to get, for example. But I think actually in this case it'll probably be Nebula. Just there might be, for whatever reason, a push, maybe all the need for better, stronger female characters for Alliance War with the new notes coming out. I doubt a 4-star though for people that would be in those tiers anyway where that comes in, because I think it's the 5% plus kind of thing, or tier 5 up kind of thing. So they're probably not using too many 4 stars anyway at that point. But regardless, here are my thoughts on where the grind target might be, where I think you should go if you want to safely get these champs. For the 5-star feature, Venom the Duck, I think you need 51 million. For the 4-star, go to 14.2, you should be fine. For Nebula, 2.2 should work, maybe 2.3, 2.4 if you want to push it to be extra safe, but 2.2 should be good. And then lastly, with that 3-star Venom the Duck, go to 1.35 million. Now these are for these grind targets as well as predictions are for the veterans bracket. When it comes to the lower brackets, just here's some rough, order of magnitude, very rough ballpark numbers to consider if you're grinding in these arenas, just because there's just not a lot of consistent past arena results to do any trend analysis, so kind of keep that in mind. Starting first with the beginners bracket, meaning your account's been open for 1 to 30 days. For the 3-star feature, go to 245, 4-star basic 1 million, and the same for the 4-star feature Venom the Duck 1 million. Should do it roughly in that ballpark. Intermediate bracket, meaning your account's been open 31 to 60 days. 3-star feature, go to 550, 4-star Nebula, go to around 900-ish, maybe 800,000. For the 4-star feature Venom the Duck, 1.4 feels awfully high. Probably 1.1, 1.2 will work. But anyway, these are my thoughts for the first rounds of the Venom the Duck and Nebula arenas. Would love to hear your opinion. Throw one down in the comment section. We can definitely discuss it there. If you have any questions, place them there as well, and I would be happy to answer them. Other than that, if you like this video, I would really appreciate if you click that thumbs up button. If you like this and other videos I have on the channel, we'd really appreciate it. Subscribe. Thanks a lot for stopping by, and have a great day.